Hello, everyone. It's a great day here at the Speedway Pulse Media office today as we have uh, United Autosports Enduro Cup driver Nick Boulle on the show with us, and we'd like to thank you for coming on, Nick.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. Nick, we love to always ask everyone that comes on, what was your start in racing? What really got you into automotive racing?
By day, my family is in the jewelry business, and we had a good friend and customer way back when I was young, say to my dad, "Hey, you and Nick should come out." So we got in his car and we drove down to Texas World Speedway. And At the end of the weekend, my dad had fun. I enjoyed it. But at the end of the weekend, he said, "Hey, why don't you come for a ride?" And he had I think it was a 355 challenge car, and he let like a 10-year-old jump in the passenger seat, stuck a helmet on me, and took me for like 3 laps and fell in love. And then several years later, I got to kind of start learning how to do it myself. But yeah.
That's pretty cool. At such a young age to get into a 355 and just rip around Texas World and just fall in love with it that way. I personally grew up racing dirt go karts, and
Nice.
my dad, he was a dirt go kart racer as well. And with my senior year of high school and everything, it just kind of made me step away from it and all that. So now I just kind of talked to Wyman here, and we started off this business.
Yeah, for me it was
Nice.
kind of the same way. I was a go-karter too, but I was a road course guy. Road
Cool.
course was just a knack to me that I caught on really quickly. Something about, I think, you having to conserve tires and just, the different angles and stuff of how to make turns and stuff. Road courses just was a natural feel to me compared to an oval. And so I stuck with road courses for a while, but like anything, racing is a business and funding is a big thing, and it just got
Yeah.
to a point where, it gets too expensive to run, but I
Yeah.
still I still stay involved in it. But road courses were my favorites always growing up.
Nice. Those are very you have to be it's very strategic racing,
It's,
I think,
Right.
too, right?
Oh yeah. As a businessman, how are you able to apply those skills to your racing job?
Whether you're working in business or you're working at the racetrack, at the end of the day, you're trying to motivate people and put together the best team possible. As with anything, there's budget constraints and then there's the hunt to find the best people and also trying to make sure they want to work hard with you. Um, so it's a scenario where you can have all the budget, you can have all the money, you can have all the experience, but if all the pieces don't come together, then you won't have success. So I think that's what keeps me coming back. I would tell you that I get a lot of support, and I'm lucky from other people in business. And what's unique about racing is that when you work in business, you have your marketing department, you have your sales team, you have your accounting, you have your even your social media, you've got your all these different aspects of the business. And yes, they talk to each other, and you can look at, and I mean, again, I guess in our business, you can look at sales and how they're doing. But what's really wonderful and unique about motorsport is that you get to watch the embodiment of everyone's hard work in one focal point, which is the race car, right? Not only is it beautiful and cool and dramatic and exciting to watch just by itself, but everyone's hard work is fixated on one thing that you can see moving, hopefully, around the track, right? I think that's so you have it's very similar to business. It's just really gratifying because you get immediate return from your efforts, and it's obviously special the more technical it becomes when you've got data engineers and car engineers and strategy and all that stuff kind of playing together.
As both me and Jordan were, I was a business major to begin with, and Jordan's going into business major in
Nice.
college. You can apply so much from a business going into the race team, because one things you know about business is you got to be able to work with more than just one person.
Yeah.
Business is about working with, dozens of people. And
Yeah.
so in a race team, if you can't work with people, there's not going to be a success rate there. And that's
Yeah.
one of the big things I learned through businesses. You got to be able to, the people skills that you have are ones you got to be able to put out towards everyone. And that's one of the big things about that I found through business and racing at the same time.
Yeah, I think the biggest determination for success, at least I find we work with some very successful people, much more successful than our company, is how well can people communicate? That doesn't mean how they talk. That doesn't mean one thing in particular. How well do they communicate? Overall, that's body language, that's treating people nicely, that's all those things. Because at the end of the day, people have to want to be around you, whether you're in technology or racing or finance or whatever it is. So.
Right. And keeping it more on the business side, would you be an authorized seller of the Rolex? How would you say it relates to you winning a Rolex at Daytona?
That was a really special experience. My goal is to also be able to say that I'm the first authorized retailer for Rolex to win the Le Mans 24 hours in class, but we'll see. That will be hard. The I mean, certainly it was super special because I mean, the president and vice president at the time, I knew them. I think they were surprised to see me on the podium, to be perfectly honest. Uh, and the whole deal. I mean, our family was there, and I had a bunch of great friends there. So it was overall just one of those things that I'll always remember. And those are kind of the experiences you can't take away. So yeah.
And a Rolex and racing you can compare, and they have a lot of similarities together. I think. Take their 24 hours for example. Time and Rolex they're both a constant factor in racing. The
Yeah.
24 hours, in that time, Rolex has the saying they're perpetually excellent, and you have to be excellent in that race between the engineers, the pit
Yeah.
crew, and the driver. The driver has to be able to manage gaps, make up positions or stay in the lead. When it comes down to the pits, it's all up to the pit crew member to hit their marks at 100% of the time. And you think about engineers, a lot of times they don't have a lot of time to make adjustments and stuff. It's all on the
Yeah.
fly. And so at
Yeah.
the end of the day, when the 24 hours is up and you're standing there either as a winner or on the podium, I think it lets you know that perpetually you ran one of your best races that you can
Yeah.
run. And I just think there's so many similarities between racing and Rolex that it
Yeah.
makes people want to. So many people want to win that amazing.
Yeah, and I think not a lot of people realize, but they actually do a lot on the timing and scoring side.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
they have a special time machine for the race and all that. So they've taken it to the next level as they do with everything in a pursuit of perfection.
This year at Sebring, you got a new teammate. You had Juan Manuel Correa join you.
Mhm.
Obviously, he's achieved a lot through the open wheel stuff over in
Yeah.
Europe. How well do you think he came up to speed between you and Ben Hanley? You have so much experience in those cars and at Sebring.
Man, he could not have picked a harder place to drive an LMP2 car in the US for the first time. I think he did great. I'm looking forward to driving with him again at Watkins Glen after Le Mans, because the tracks in Europe nowadays, particularly, are from what I understand. I've driven at where have I driven? Spa. Is that it? Anyway, they're very they're glass smooth. Um, uh, I say that even Monza I've driven there as well, has some bumps, but it's not like what you see at Sebring, and it's not even like what you see at Daytona. They're wide, it's very consistent, and I think that Watkins Glen will be a much more representative place for him to get in and learn the car. And also, I mean, for him having been driving Formula 2 cars for
Yeah.
the past few years, the G loads that we experience at Watkins Glen, he should feel very comfortable with. It will his experience driving cars with a lot of downforce will certainly pay off because I think nowadays, particularly the LMP2 cars, are the downforce levels. The power is not the same and they're heavier, but the downforce levels are pretty close to an F2 car at times, especially somewhere like Watkins Glen where we have a lot of wing wound in it and we're experiencing high G loads.
Well, I said that's going to be kind of a night and day transition from the Sebring. I think is probably the toughest track that you can drive anywhere, just in terms of the the bumps, and they haven't repaved that track since, oh gosh, it's been a long time because it was the World War II airfield. And then you come to Watkins is going to be, because you don't have the elevation changes in
Yeah.
there for turn one and then the back half of the course coming out
Yeah.
of the boot. So I think that's going to be, but I think that's going to be, you know, like I said, something he's so used to seeing, because so many of the circuits in Europe are up and down, or it's got so many hills like Spa, Austria, you know, so many of those tracks that he's familiar with from F2. And like I said, this year you're getting an opportunity with Inter Europol to run Le Mans. You know, that's coming up. That's right at about a month. What's the prep work been like for you this year for that race?
Oh man, what has the prep work been like? It's business as usual, but I'm taking extra time every day to make sure I'm really staying active on the sim. I'm doing some karting because it's what I can get in. And then watching my diet, because I'm a tall guy. I'm 6 foot, almost 6'2". And so it's a bit of a disadvantage in endurance racing at the moment, the way they run it, because there's no weight limit for the driver. It's just the weight of the car, is my understanding. I think that's the same in Europe, but I'm not 100% sure. But so yeah, I'm trying to watch everything I eat at night and stay fit and sharp. And of course, my poor wife has to watch me work out my neck every night before we go to bed, take a shower, and then sit in my underwear and work on do my neck workouts. But yeah.
And you're coming into a really great team, Inter Europol. They won 2 years ago at Le Mans LMP2. So, and plus you've had success with them and IMSA. You won the LMP2 championship with them last year. So
that's right.
Is it there'll be a lot of familiar faces, you think, coming back to Inter Europol, or do you think it might be some similarity and some new ones?
So when they won the championship in the US, it was in partnership with a team that I'd raced with several times before, called PR1 Motorsports. And I have to say, I had a ton of fun with them last year. Everybody is there to win, both at PR1 and at Inter Europol. And I'd heard a lot about them as a team. And they do some things differently and some things kind of how you expect. But I'm excited. I'm excited. I know it's unique to kind of like be with a different team for one race in a year, but I've had a ton of fun with United, and I think I've learned some, and I've been pushed when at times when we need to step forward, and I think it's going to help going into Le Mans. I think I feel good and sharp, so we just have to kind of see where it takes us, you know.
And Le Mans, you know, that's the race of the races. You really can't compare that to any other races. So that's going to be
100%.
That's what makes that race so important to win for not only the driver but the crew. And so it's going to be. I think this year's going to be one of the tougher ones in your LMP2 class. The amount of the caliber of drivers they're bringing in, and so many of them are running ELM European Le Mans series. So they're just getting them all ready for it. And then they got Spa this week coming up. So Le Mans is right around the corner. So this is probably the busiest time for those teams getting ready for that race.
No, for sure. It's an interesting scenario. I haven't driven the Goodyear tires, which I'm a little nervous about, but other than that, I think the cars are similar. Luckily, the kind of power and downforce levels are similar to IMSA, I think. At Le Mans specifically. Well, I say that it's the low downforce package, so it'll be a little less downforce, but being used to the high downforce, I think, can be helpful, especially when you're going to a new place and have to kind of get yourself up to speed. But I don't know. I feel good about it. I know that they've invested a ton in their car and the package they put together, and they want to win. Kuba, Sasha, the guys that run Inter Europol they have a great way of they always seem very relaxed, but they are pushing so hard. It's fun to watch and be a part of.
I noticed that this year, or well, last year when y'all were in IMSA, they're coming in for the first time, and it looked like, I know they probably had a lot of help from PR1, but they just looked like everything was so familiar, because I corner marshal a lot for the IMSA events. So
cool.
I did the Roar, the Rolex, and I did Le Mans. So, and you get off shifts, so walk around the paddock, and they just looked like they were real dialed in. It looked like they had been running in IMSA for maybe a good many seasons, it just
Yeah.
looked everything was familiar to him, and that's
Yep.
one of the things that I really caught my eye. And Daytona,
Yeah.
y'all had last year, y'all had a last minute, y'all had Pietro step in at the last minute. I
Yeah.
remember, was it Jacob that got his foot messed up during the roar?
Yeah. Yeah. It was, oh man, you're going to put me on the spot. He's a good guy. I'll tell you his name in a minute, blanking. But it was a shame. He hurt his foot and his ribs. Yeah, that was a shame. Pietro did a great job, mind you. Um, but it was still a shame because I think we could have had a slightly better run if without that, just because it wasn't fair on him. I mean, he jumped in. I did one stint and then he jumped in because he needed to get time, and that was the best time for him to kind of learn the car, learn the track again. It was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. He held his spot. He did a great job.
I
Did a
think
great
y'all
job. It
still
obviously would
ended
have
up
been.
with a top five finish out of it, if
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. That we did. I mean, last year I have to say we struggled to get. I mean, we won in most sport in Canada. Um, we had a few things come our way and a few things go against them in other races, but it was I mean, we were there every weekend. Should have made it a little bit easier on ourselves after some issues at Road America, but other than that, we were consistent, and that's what wins championships.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we
consistency
can
is
get
key.
back there. We need a win to get back on the board with United this year, but hopefully, we can do that at Watkins.
And like I said, this year you've taken on an endurance driver role with United. How
Yeah.
big for you is that coming into such a storied organization like United, from wins at Le Mans all over the world? And Zach Brown is heading that.
Yeah. Man, I have to say, they're great guys. They're fun to work with. Really, really like our engineering team, and the co-drivers are awesome. Ben Hanley is a wealth of experience. He's really impressed me this year. I mean, anybody who goes back, I think he was 35 when he went back, or 33 for he went back and won the European karting championships, which just boggles my mind.
Wow.
That's like probably a bigger achievement than anything I've heard of in the more recent more in racing more recently. And so being able to lean on those guys, like I said, has just helped me want to bring my driving up to another level, and I think everyone's doing it now. Um, I don't have the time to invest in it that I maybe would want to, but doing my best with what I can. I think though too, uh, United as an organization, they're all different, so it took some time to settle in. But Richard and Zach, I mean, Max, team manager, they run an amazing program, and I don't think anyone's cars from a preparation standpoint. There's certainly no one doing a better job on that side. You can just see everything's gone through. Our car lead Jojo is he's great at what he does. Yeah, sadly had a big wreck in January, so I got to see how good of a job they do putting a car back together. But yeah, they're very impressive.
And, last year was their first year. They bought, or I guess in a way bought out one of the LMP3 teams. And so I think they picked they wanted to come in with experience, and they picked a really good avenue to bring it in. They had a lot of experienced guys with the P3 cars.
Yep.
And so from a standpoint for them, really, they just had to learn how to work on a new car.
Yep.
And so, when they brought in, and then they brought in, they had like Binky. They had a lot of good drivers with them the
Yeah.
first year, but this year I think they've really brought in a really great pairing, and even in the sister car, y'all got some
Yeah.
great teammates to work with, like
Yeah.
DeResta.
For sure, for sure, for sure. I mean, DeResta, Rasmussen, Dan, they've done a great job this year, obviously. Had to do a good job. They won Daytona.
No, that's right.
And like you say, with it you being at United, obviously y'all's main goal is to win a championship in the Endurance Cup. But what would you say is a personal goal for you this year, as to like learn the car or to better yourself?
You know, I'm it's hard to say this without sounding arrogant, I guess, but I want to win races this year. We've had some kind of rough luck. I think we struggled with kind of getting the last bit out of the car at Sebring. At Daytona, I'm the first to try and say I screwed up somehow, but I don't really know what I could have done differently being caught up in the wreck I was caught up in. I know that not sure if you guys saw the Cadillac had made a mistake on cold tires and rolled in front of the track after hitting the outside wall between 1 and 3. Um, and yeah, like I said, I'd almost prefer a situation where I screwed up so I could look everybody in the eye and say, sorry, I messed up, but I'm not sure there was much I could have done besides see through cars.
It was sort of a chain reaction wreck too, in a way.
Apparently, it took out a lot of cars. It was a
it
shame.
took out a lot of them.
You can't really fault them because I think every single GTP driver has done it. Those tires are so hard to drive when they leave the pits on cold rubber. You can see the cars do strange things that aren't typical. I mean, a little slide here and there we feel on cold tires, but their cars seem to go funny directions as soon as the car slides. But I think now, I mean, if we're going to get back in the game, we need to win some races. Need to have a good result at Watkins. Hopefully we can do a test day and get back on the map. But I feel good about it. Like I said, I think Watkins is going to be an event that suits us. And hopefully it's really hot. And fitness can pay off too.
And that's one thing that helps too, in a way, is some races where drivers got to run long stints, and the endurance of the drivers, well, it also helps win the race, not only the car, but the physical fitness of drivers.
Exactly.
Right. Which we want to thank you again, Nick, for coming on the show, and we wish you best of luck in the year and everything in the years to come.
We'll plan
Thank
on
you
being
guys so much.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be there? You'll have to come and say hi. Let me know where you are. You got my email. You got my Instagram. I'll shoot you my cell number too. So if you ever need anything, just let me know. Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
We appreciate that, Nick.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thanks.
Keep it up. See ya.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.